Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Sushiro.
Hi there.
How are you, brah?
Better than I sound.
Okay, you feel better than you sound.
I think so.
Okay.
What has happened since last we spoke? You were hauled off to the doctor's office. What'd they tell you?
I did not get hauled off anywhere. I made some calls, took some various elixirs, and here I am. Okay?
Self-diagnosis.
I'm sorry for giving an S.
Yeah.
Gee whiz, Mayor.
Got pretty upset, didn't he?
So defensive, man. You know, people actually like you.
Well,
We haven't met him. One.
Not as far as you know.
Yeah.
Oops.
Perfectly healthy.
Off and rolling, folks.
Wait a minute. That calls for one of these, then, I think. There we go.
Careful.
Bless you.
Downing notes. Downing is a keen listener. Downing knows on Tuesday's podcast there was talk about DEI at the U of M and how white people are being told that they are born racist regardless of their good intentions. Remind you of anything? Such as, no matter how much you try to be a good person, it isn't enough. You are condemned by original sin and need the church to save you. It is their religion, and they are using the government to force it upon all of us.
Huh.
I think that's a good point. It is a religion. It has the agenda of a religion.
Yes.
You must be converted. You must follow their 10 Commandments, which I think I'll create
It's
some.
all or none. There's no gray.
What are the 10? Now, would that apply to this astonishing story? We mentioned it. Did we even mention it on the news yesterday, John, about the Brooklyn school?
We did
It
not.
came up after the show was concluded.
Parents were outraged that students were booted from a Brooklyn school to make room for nearly 2,000 migrants. Now, there's some caveats here. There was apparently a big winter storm hitting New York, right?
Mhm.
Rain, wind, snow.
Yeah, the whole thing.
And so the kids apparently were sent out into the storm to go home or whatever. And in came the 2,000 migrants to seek shelter from the storm. And now you have some people warning that this could become more frequent. Because you never know what's going to happen with the weather.
I don't know.
If you're going to base where you put these people on the weather, then we have no guidelines here.
There's a lot of sanctuary cities that happen to be in cold weather climates.
Mm-hmm. The backlash stems from a last-minute decision by Mayor Eric Adams to bus hundreds of migrant families from a controversial tent shelter at Floyd Bennett Field to the school 5 miles away, with asylum seekers forced to nap on a gym floor before being rustled back to the shelter hours later. So it sounds like, because the storm was hitting, it sounds like during the height of the storm, they moved the migrants 5 miles down the road and said, get in this school. Maybe if I continue to turn the pages here, it's all over the news internets, CBS, NBC, New York Post, Daily Mail. Maybe I'll learn what the kids in school were having to do. I don't know, but
they did virtual schooling.
Yeah, but I mean, the storm was hitting. Were they on their own outside?
They made the announcement Tuesday night.
Right,
or no, Wednesday night. It would have. Oh, no, Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. Wednesday was an e-learning day.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So that was yesterday.
Okay.
And one of the assemblymen said this could be a sign of the future. This might just happen again.
Well, I did see, after I saw the story on Tuesday, did a little research. Apparently, they've put up some migrants in gyms in New York schools since spring, it sounds like, from what I read.
Well, they're doing it in
interesting.
Chicago, too. We had the story of a kid's football building being taken over. I suppose a big,
Don't mess with football.
no, what would you call those buildings? Like a field house
Mm.
was taken over. Well, this is, there's interesting comment from Elon Musk. Who
Which
I
Elon
find,
are we going to get here?
well, I find him terribly interesting. I don't know. I mean, he's got to be somewhat, his head's somewhat attached to his body, isn't it?
Well, he's doing some.
He's done well.
He commented on this case.
I'll get to it.
All right.
The influx of asylum seekers has already put a strain on the school system as thousands of migrant children enrolled in classes, while some schools were used as migrant facilities over the summer. The migrants began arriving at the second floor school gym before 5 p.m. and were bussed back starting at 1 a.m., with all of them back in the shelter by 4:30 a.m. That's not a pleasant way for them to live,
Right.
any more than it was pleasant for parents to wonder, now what the hell do I do? My kid's not going to school today.
Yeah.
Again, I'm sure it was terribly. You know what homelessness is called in other countries?
What?
Rough sleeping.
Rough
Yeah,
sleeping.
a rough night.
Sleeping rough.
Yeah.
Our goal was to make you as comfortable as possible while having safety as our top priority. We provided meals, blankets, pillows. I don't know who I'm quoting. More than 165,000 migrants from the U.S. border have arrived in the 5 boroughs since the spring of 2022, with nearly 70,000 currently being housed and fed by the taxpayers.
Mm.
I'm leading up to some deep thoughts, some
Okay.
deep leaping thoughts. The Floyd Bennett Field tent shelter, which was made available after Governor Kathy Hochul pushed the White House to make the abandoned field available, faced opposition from the beginning. Several elected officials warned that the remote location was ill-suited for migrant families, and concerns over the stability of the tent surfaced during a December 18 storm and again this week. And here from CBS, I guess we'll have the same thing, although it did disrupt parents and various politicians who basically said, what the hell's going on here?
What's going on?
All right, and I had an Elon Musk story that caught my attention, weighing in on the same thing, said he issued an ominous warning after New York City students were forced into remote learning Wednesday as their school was used to house migrants. And Musk said, this is what happens when you run out of hotel rooms. Soon schools will run out of cities will run out of schools to vacate.
Mhm.
All right. Then where are you going to go then?
What's next? Right.
Well, where? Answer me.
Got to build another school.
Oh,
They're going to go
No.
to your home.
well, they're going to go to your house.
Yeah. You've got a spare bedroom, don't you? Or maybe a couch that turns into a
Yeah.
bed.
Couch.
Volunteer for
I can stay in the wigwam.
such endeavors.
We do.
Joe, what struck me was odd. They weren't there very long.
No, overnight. Or
Yeah,
into
not
the
even-
night.
Not even like 12 hours.
Right.
And that guy you quoted, it's City Health and Hospital Senior Vice President Theodore Long.
Yeah. Is it reasonable to say that this is an invasion
Yes.
Of our own doing.
of our country? Is this an invasion across our southern border?
It's an invitational invasion
Why?
because we're not doing anything to stop it. And once they get here, we're trying to give them wine and roses.
But why was the invitation exercised in the first place?
Well, that's the great, there's a lot of answers to that. And aren't they all speculation? Voters, death of the American dream. Make
And see,
something up.
if liberals won't talk about it because they have succumbed to the oppressed versus the oppressor agenda for this country. And Republicans who can't even bring themselves to condemn Trump aren't going to say our country would be a lot better off without these immigrants, because that you're really wading into insensitive territory. But I think it's territory that needs to be waded into. How much better off would this country be without? Could you please look up the total numbers so far?
I'm just doing that right now. And apparently under the Biden administration, give me a minute. I want to make sure I've got the right information.
Yeah, give them a timeline. Just the Biden administration.
Yeah.
So 3 years.
We're getting close to 8 million illegal crossings nationwide, not just at the southern border.
In what
nationwide.
time period, Chris?
Under the Biden administration. So since
2021.
Yeah.
Now, what would be thrown back at me from people, for example, in California is, well, these people are doing our field labor and taking jobs that no one else wants.
True.
And on and on and on. I'm not sure I buy that. I guess I buy it to a certain degree.
Well, that's been the case, Joe, long before Biden, too. I
Right.
mean, that needs to be brought up.
Yeah, but 10,000 people might have come into California to pick tomatoes.
But that was the great dichotomy, if you remember, during the Trump administration, that all these, I'll make just reference to a few turkey farms in Minnesota, where the owners might have been Republicans and or Trump supporters, but they also had a lot of illegals working for them, and they didn't know where to fall on the Trump administration and ICE, that were raiding their farms and removing them. And I'm just using farms as an example. It could be any kind of manufacturing or big corporation.
But where can this surge, this invasion, possibly lead? I suppose you could go way out wacky and you could go the Musk road. Well, it's going to end in your house, at which point you no longer have a house, at which point you no longer own personal property, at which point you no longer are a free citizen of the state. Now we're seeing government drift that way in certain areas. They haven't succeeded in bringing that about yet, but they easily could, because I think too many people have given up on America.
In 2021, it was just shy of 2 million, 1.956. 2022 was 2.7 million. 2023 was 3.2 million. And in January alone, we've already had almost 10,000.
When I say too many people have given up on America, I mean too many people just don't care that this is happening.
Right.
And then they
They're
care.
throwing in the towel.
Then they finally care when they get an email from their school in Brooklyn that says, by the way, Sally can't come to school tomorrow. We'll have an e-learning day. Well, yeah, why is that? Well, we're going to house during the storm. We'll get them back out in time. They didn't get them back out in time for the kids to return to school. They missed a day, but we'll get them back out in time, and the kids can come back to school, presumably today. Though, okay, those parents might now be saying, what the hell's going on?
Right.
But the country's so big that even 8 million people, 8.8, is really not having a direct impact unless you live in the border cities of Texas. And now Chicago, New York, Boston, where these migrants have been shipped by politicians in the southern part of the United States who are pointing out, what the hell do you want us to do about this?
We're in too far.
I'm working on a theory. I wish I would have had more time because it's still convoluted at this point. But could this, and I'm looking for what is the answer? Why? Why is this being allowed and almost encouraged? And could it be that they want whoever's allowing this even cheaper labor? Let me give you an example. So let's say we've got some illegals and we've all seen them doing roofing work, and my God, they do amazing work, and they do it fast, and it's amazing. But we all assume, and it's probably true, that they're working for less than what a union crew would be working for, right?
Well, sure.
So now those illegals that are, good citizens, not doing any crimes, just here illegally, they're working hard. Now they're going to be lowballed. Instead of making $20 an hour, the contractor, this is all wild speculation, so don't get PO'd, GLers. Now they're going to be able to hire a crew of 10 guys working for $15 an hour. Am I just way out?
No,
the stratosphere.
That's as plausible as any other because you're following money.
Yeah. Because I can't come up with a reason. It's got to be dollars. Everything is based on dollars.
Are all of us old enough to have grown up with the idea that America was a special place and it was a grand achievement to live here?
Yeah.
And it was done orderly.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you passed a citizen's test and you were a proud American.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to that mindset seems to no longer exist. America is now a country to be ravaged by people who just want its bounty and don't I'm going to go way out on a limb here, but I don't care anymore. It's being ravished by people who just want and have no means or preparation to give.
Right.
So my advice would be stay in your own country.
Yeah, their own country sucks.
But
That's
so
why
will
they
this
won't-
country, given this influx.
You're right. That's where it's headed for. Yeah, when I was a lot younger, the people that had emigrated here took the test were actually better citizens and more knowledgeable about the country than those of us that were born here. Because you got to pass the test. The test ain't easy.
I remember meeting people who had just achieved citizenship. It used to be a story in the papers, maybe it still is, of auditoriums full of people getting their new citizenship,
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. Hey,
Who
welcome.
went through the proper channels, by the way.
Now it's just get out of my way and give me my Diet Coke, and I don't expect to pay for it. Just give it to me and give me a place to sleep because here I am, and now you take care of me.
Yeah.
B as in B, S as in S. I see your hands.
Okay.
Yeah, we lost John.
Where did John go?
I don't know.
Such a good guy.
He got mad and stormed out of here.